Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ethos Online. Again, if you're watching from your car, be careful while you're driving. If you're in your living room watching from the couch, wherever you are, thank you for joining us. This is a place, again, we created to be basically safe for you to toy around with some ideas, go a little deeper, deconstruct, reconstruct. It's a safe place for people to belong, to be yourself, to move past those liminal spaces into something that's continually growing. And so that's where we are, Ethos Online. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And again, we ask every week, please consider supporting this, what we're doing. You can support us by giving donations that are tax deductible, of course, to www.ethos-church.org/donate. And so if you want to do that, partner with us. That would be amazing. We want to share these videos every chance we can and continue giving and sharing and supporting what we do. So we've been talking about Sermon on the Mount. Again, the Beatitudes, right? This moment where Jesus goes up onto the mountain, much like Moses did, and he begins expanding on the law, expanding on Torah, going a little bit deeper. And so again, the Sermon on the Mount, and I think most of you can probably memorize this by now, but it's actually a deeper critique into the heart of the law. It reclaims the beauty of living life in harmony. So this whole picture, right? The law was first installed, right, by these people who are saying, how do we learn how to get along well? How do we keep peace and order, shalom within community? And that's where the 10 come into play. And Jesus says, you know what? And often other rabbis do the same thing. These 10 are awesome, but sometimes we get really caught up in just keeping them on a surface level. And so what good rabbis would do is they would say, there's something deeper to each one of these. And when you look deeper into the heart of these, you actually find we can do these really well if we understand why they're given. Understand what the implications are for me and community and the earth and everyone around me. When we understand that, the whole thing hums. So again, this is all given during 70 AD, after the temple is destroyed, after these people are saying, who are we? What do we have anymore? What's this kingdom come reality? Are we ever going to experience home again? And Jesus' message is, we experience home when we learn to become Torah, when we become the people, the values of our religion. That's when kingdom come reality happens. And so the law is given. We went through all of the blessings together, what they mean, what they don't mean. And now we've stepped into this new stage where Jesus says, you've heard it said, but this is what I say, which was not uncommon for a rabbi to do. Most rabbis would do a little twist on an old teaching. And so what Jesus does, again, the writers, they want to show you Jesus is the next Moses, he's the next David, the next Daniel. He's another person who's going to put a twist on this thing, going to shift it and show something bigger, right? He's going to show us the deeper heart of what this whole Torah thing is. That's what Jesus does. So today, we're going to talk about kind of an awkward one that I think has been used in so many different directions, and that is adultery, right? Adultery. So let me read it to you first, and then I'll start to delve into some of the verses attached to it, what's been quoted, interpretations, some of my own baggage, all of it. I'm going to share some of that, but let me first read it to you. It goes like this. You've heard it said, you shall not commit adultery. Again, he's quoting there the seventh commandment. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out, throw it away. Right? Da Vinci. If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out, throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for the whole body to be thrown into hell. Again, the word is Gehenna, garbage dump. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off, throw it away. There's a lot of mutilation going on here. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for the whole body to go into Gehenna, the garbage dump, hell. So what's going on here? Right? We've got some self-mutilation happening. We've got this word adultery. We've got this idea if you look at someone and you think, meow, how you doing? That means I'm going to hell or I'm going to die? Huh. All right. So when we start asking questions and you start looking at these verses a little deeper, you'll understand again, these first century writers, they are quoting Torah. Some, you could say in some way the writers are putting these words into Jesus' mouth, or Jesus is literally holding up the Torah and he's just saying, here's what Numbers says. I'm going to rephrase it in my own words. Either way, that's what's going on. And so when you understand that, Numbers 15:30 through 31, but the person who acts presumptuously, whether native born or resident foreigner, insults Yahweh, that person must be cut off from among his people because he's despised the word of Yahweh, has broken his commandment, that person must be completely cut off. His iniquity will be on him. This is kind of where Jesus is pulling from, as well as some points in Leviticus and Exodus. And so all of this together, Jesus is essentially quoting the Torah. Now, here's the thing, adultery. If you were like me, you grew up with something interesting as a teenager. It's called the purity culture. And so for me, I grew up believing that adultery wasn't just between like a married dude and some woman, or a married woman and some other dude or whatever. What I heard as well, like, not that that's like, that's tough enough. This was difficult, because what I was told is, as a teenager, you of course have all these hormones and everything. There were only certain things you could do with a girl or a boy, whatever your orientation is. I was told if I had sex before marriage, I was committing adultery. And so there was weird spin-offs, and I've met so many people that have a lot of baggage from this, a lot of guilt and shame attached. And so many of us grew up believing like if you had sex, you lost your virginity and you were no longer pure. And I even remember like going to some of these like Bible camps, and some of these girls, they'd stand up and be like, but I want to be pure again. And they'd people would come around and they'd pray. And I remember pastors would say like, oh, God has given you back your virginity. And they would walk away feeling like, I feel good again because I'm no longer unclean, right? My act of committing adultery has now led me to be unclean. So I have to get cleansed so that I can be now pure again. The whole thing's warped. The whole thing's weird. Right? Is that the original intention of these authors? Adultery. Is that what it meant? Do women who have had sex before marriage, have they committed some evil sin? And what does the Bible even say about it? So I want to unwrap that first. So look at here. When the Bible talks about sex before marriage, there's really not much to be said about it. You won't find many verses where it says, look, children, when you're teenagers and you have these hormones and blah, 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 you should not have intercourse with one another. You should wait for marriage. You won't find Bible verses about that. Here are the kind of Bible verses you will find about a woman who has sex before she's married to some other guy, right? To some dude. Here's the verses you'll find, and I hope you'll see some connections here. There's a theme that fits, and purity culture is not it. So watch this here. Deuteronomy 22:13 through 21. And it's kind of lengthy, so I'm going to do my best to try to move through it quickly, but I want you to listen for the theme here. If a man takes a wife, and again, notice the like patriarchal verbiage here, right? It's very masculine. When a man takes a wife, right? It's not when like Romeo and Juliet fall in love. Both of them are coming together and I love you, you love me. We've been dating for a while. We're choosing like what Tupperware we want to have, blah, blah, blah. No, a man takes a wife, right? You can see the patriarchal kind of culture that was. It's a very ancient culture, not our culture today. So it's going to take me forever to get through this if I go this direction. So here we go. If a man takes a wife and after sleeping with her, dislikes her and slanders her and gives her a bad name, saying, I married this woman, but when I approached her, the word is when I slept with her, when I had intercourse with her, I did not find proof of her virginity. So again, they were looking for bleeding, right? The hymen's broken, right? That you would have some blood there. If he didn't notice the blood, which was a sign that she was a virgin, right? And again, they prided themselves on that culture for taking a virgin. You guys starting to follow me? Some of you women are like so revved right now, which is good that you're revved over this. Then the young woman's father and mother shall bring to the town elders at the gate proof that she was a virgin. Interesting, right? Like what kind of proof are you looking for here? Usually they're looking for that cloth with the blood on it. Her father will say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her. Now he has slandered her and said, I did not find your daughter to be a virgin, but here is the proof of my daughter's virginity, right? If he says that, good. Then her parents shall display the cloth before the elders of the town. The elders shall take the man, and they will punish the man who has slandered the woman. Because again, she's proven that, no, I was a virgin, right? Because again, back then, that's where your value came from. They shall fine him 100 shekels of silver and give them to the young woman's father, because this man has given an Israelite virgin a bad name. Now watch this. This dude basically is like slandering you. Again, put yourself in the position of this woman. This man basically had sex with you, doesn't like what he had, right? Or just maybe just wanted to get laid, whatever. He had sex with you, and now he's saying, I don't want you anymore. His punishment is that he has to pay your family some money. Your punishment, even though you're innocent, is you have to stay with the man. Right? Look at this. She shall continue to be his wife. He must not divorce her as long as he lives. I'd be like, dude, I want out of this marriage, right? That would make no sense. This dude does not want to be with you, and yet you are stuck in this marriage now with this guy that doesn't want to be with you. Today in our culture, we'd say that's bogus. Like, she's getting the shaft here. Wrong word. She's getting the worst of this. Like, she should be able to leave, right? Like, that would be justice. But no, she has to stay with the man, a man who doesn't want her. It continues. It gets worse, right? Because what if the woman actually wasn't a virgin, right? Watch this. If, however, the charge is true and no proof of the young woman's virginity can be found, maybe the dude took the cloth and tossed it, buried it, whatever, I don't know. Or maybe she did sleep with someone before him. She shall be brought to the door of her father's house, and there the men of her town shall stone her to death. Notice, like, the man, he could have had many different partners. You're not going to find proof of that, right? Well, he seemed to know what he was doing, right? There's no argument there. But if she's found to have slept with someone, she's dead. In that culture, she would have been stoned to death. She has done an outrageous thing in Israel by being promiscuous while still in her father's house. You must purge the evil from among you. Right? Whew. Yeah, this is barbaric stuff. And notice, it all revolves around the woman's actions. Her value is coming from her being a virgin. This has nothing to do with purity culture, holding yourself for the right man. No. Women back then were seen as property. And your virginity was the gift you gave to your husband along with children. Seen it? Again, it's a barbaric culture. It's an ancient patriarchal culture. Let me give you another verse, if that doesn't heat you up enough. Deuteronomy 22, 28 through 29. If a man meets a virgin who is not engaged and seizes her and lies with her, and they are caught in the act, the man who lay with her shall give 50 shekels of silver to the young woman's father, and she shall become his wife. Because he violated her, he shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives. Ugh, right? Like, in our culture, this is just gross. Anyone who says like the Bible is like filled with truth and it's only truth, it's the only way to live, blah, 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 blah. You're pulling out some verses. Because again, we forget these are ancient tribal people living in a very patriarchal system. So again, notice this. If a man decides to rape a woman and he takes, again, put yourself back in that time era, he takes her virginity from her, right? Because again, virgins, they're very important in that culture. And this is why today you have some cultures that still believe like when you get to the heavens, right, you'll have 100 virgins. To them, that's heaven, right? To many of us, we're like, no, that's not heaven. Do you see it? Women were property. They had no rights. And so this man rapes the woman. All he has to do is pay the father money. He's not murdered. He's not sentenced to death. None of this. He's not really punished. She is, though. She's stuck with the man that raped her. And these are the verses people typically try to use, especially that last one there in Leviticus. These are the verses people often use to try to point out that, no, you have to be a virgin before marriage. Right? Don't commit adultery. You're missing the point. You're absolutely missing the point. Whenever those verses are used, here's the thing we forget. Women were for sale then. Women's bodies were considered property. It was not love relationships necessarily. It was women were seen as property. Their virginity was almost seen as like a success story to these men. They claimed it. Now this person is theirs. And whatever they get out of them as far as children was something the man prided himself on, as well as her, because it was the gift she gave. Didn't have much to give because they didn't have much property. It was all the men's. And so again, women's value came from their virginity. So I think you get the point, right? Today, we have patriarchal systems that are slowly dying, right? Today, we're talking about equality. Women's identity is not found in whether they've had sex or not. Not at all. That's not their identity. Their identity is not found in whether they're a virgin or not. That is ancient tribal stuff. Back then, that was the point. We have evolved away from that. And so this whole purity culture thing that we grew up with, don't commit adultery, don't have sex before marriage, be pure, all of that, you won't find Bible verses specifically pointing to that. What you'll find over and over again is when it talks about adultery, it's talking about a man forcibly taking a woman, seeing them as property. And if she can give him her virginity, that's a gift. Do you guys see it? And again, men can have sex with as many partners as they want to, apparently, in the Old Testament. In the New, right? Same thing. But women only want, you guys get the point. This whole discussion is a patriarchal way. So again, do you have sex before marriage or not? Well, the Bible doesn't really say much about that, if we're going to be totally honest. So where do you get your advice on that? There's tons of great advice. My response to you would be simply this. How do you see a relationship? What does a healthy relationship look like? Is it having sex with a bunch of people over and over again? What is sex to you? What's the importance of sex to you? All of those things are important to consider in a relationship. And so start asking deeper questions, start reading deeper books, but the Bible's simply kind of mute on that point. When it comes to dating and how far you go, do I touch her hair? Do I do this? The Bible's not going to talk about that. Because the biblical system back then, where all these verses are found, they were wrapped up in this very patriarchal system of seeing a woman as property. So we can't use the Bible for that. So let's go back to our original point. Adultery, right? The word adultery means, it's nepha. The word means intercourse between a man and a married woman or a promised woman, right? So again, notice this. Most of the time, the cultural context is a man who has chosen to take something that's not his. And again, I know that rubs some people the wrong way to hear it. Again, ancient tribal people. Cultural context is a man that sees something he wants. And again, they had the saying, food for the stomach, stomach for the food. If I see it and I want it, I'm going to take it. That's the mentality that they're fighting against. So a man sees a woman who's been promised or is even married, and this would happen. This happened often. That's why they made the rule, right? This man would see a woman, and he'd just forcibly take her. And she'd scream, "I'm married," and it would not matter. And so for these ancient people, they created laws that said, look, you cannot do that. This woman is already in a relationship. This woman is promised. Right? Now, again, you kind of wish that they would even say there was a law for even the woman who says, I don't want to sleep with this dude. But again, they're not there yet, right? But they're pushing this ethic further. It's interesting. When you look at one rabbi, one scholar says this, the mitzvah against adultery is interpreted to refer to sexual relations between a man and a married woman, not to have intercourse with another man's wife. There shall be no intercourse with a woman without previous marriage, with a deed of marriage and the formal declaration of marriage. Again, women were property. Do you see it? And so the man, this is the cultural context of adultery. A man sees a woman who is, again, property. He sees property that's not his, and he takes it. Yeah, hard to swallow. That's what we're looking at. So Numbers 5:11-31, if she has made herself impure and has been unfaithful to her husband, this will be the result. So here's the thing. I'll give you context to this. In that culture, if a woman were to have essentially been taken and slept with by a man, the priest would take, and the husband now is jealous because some dude grabbed his wife and had sex with her. That's the context here in Numbers. And he feels angry about it. He feels jealous. He will take his wife before the priest, and the priest will do a ceremony, a ceremonial cleansing, and he'll cleanse her. But if she liked it, and again, this is so just asinine for us today to consider, but I'm giving you how they viewed sex and property, women as property, all of it, so that you can understand the context here. If the priest thought that she liked it and she was trying to pull the man in, right? This man from outside of her marriage, here's what would happen. If she had made herself impure and had been unfaithful to her husband, then the result would be this. When she is made to drink the water that brings a curse and causes bitter suffering, it will enter her. Her abdomen will swell, her womb will miscarry, and she'll become a curse. So again, ancient way of trying to figure out, well, why do some women have babies and some not? Well, this woman must be cursed. Do you guys see what's going on here? Again, it's all very patriarchal, and it's all about the man getting what he wants. And so Jesus is going to go deeper into this. He's going to say, wait. Let's move past this into the heart of it. He's going to go a little bit deeper. And here's the deeper truth to it. When I share the next piece, some of you are going to say, why didn't Jesus just say, don't frickin' rape a woman, right? Why didn't Jesus just say, women are not property? Like, that would have solved so many things. And I have to agree with you. Yeah. Why didn't he, right? That would have solved so many issues today. It would have completely caused us to skip over this toxic purity culture thing. I kiss dating goodbye. We would have never had to deal with Joshua Harris writing that crap, who, by the way, later on admits the whole thing was a terrible mistake writing it because he didn't really believe it anyways. Why didn't Jesus just do it? Here's the truth of it. If Jesus had said women aren't property, he's already being laughed at, right? He's already taken the ethics so far. You do what you can. You share what you can in that culture. I believe Jesus probably didn't believe people should be property. He could have easily ended slavery, but he didn't. But he did bring the ethic pretty far. And that's the beauty of today. We have a new ethic, a new reality that we're moving toward. And Jesus' teachings played a part in that. And so Jesus takes it as far as he can. And we're supposed to continue taking that further. Women are not property today. We understand that. Women should never be property. Their virginity should not be what defines them, whether they've had sex or not. That should not be what defines them. Neither should it be for men. Women should be equal. They can do whatever men can do, right? Sometimes better. We look at each other as equals now. And Jesus' teachings have helped move us toward that ethic, along with many other voices from the past. Yeah, that makes sense. So now let's keep going further. For me, what I see Jesus saying over and over again is this, especially in the adultery discussion. It's simply this: respect the unity of two families coming together. Respect people. It comes to the heart of respect. And so if you've looked at a woman lustfully, you've already broken the bond the two have. Think about this. He moves on from this. He says, if you've even thought about it, if you've thought about taking something that's not yours, if you've thought about it, that seed is going to grow and it's become a reality. If you've thought about taking something that's not yours, especially in regard to relationship, breaking up relationships, you've already done it. Do you see it? And he continues. And again, people have gone crazy with this one, especially during the medieval times. If your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. Right? If your left leg, if your arm or whatever, rip it out. Right? People have literally, over history, they've actually done this to attempt to stay true so that they can get their asteroid mansion in heaven. Ridiculous. Because Jesus here is simply quoting the Old Testament. And here's what it means. It does not mean literally to cut off something, to literally gorge out your eye. Because truth is, if you have an issue, whatever it is, if you see that woman right? Or that man, and you want to sleep with them, seeing them or not seeing them probably isn't going to be the end all, right? It's still going to be there. The seed's growing, right? Here's what Jesus is saying. He's quoting scripture. So again, look, Exodus 31, 13 through 15. It says this, "Tell the sons of Israel, surely you must keep my Sabbaths, for it's a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am Yeshua who sanctifies you. So you must keep the Sabbath." Again, Sabbath was very important to the Jewish people. "For it is set apart for you." Notice this, like it's set apart. It's for you because you're a people who have been set apart. You're called to a higher ethic, a higher way of thinking. That's how they view themselves. And so everyone who defiles it must surely be put to what? Death. Like today, most people are not keeping Jewish Shabbat, right? But in that culture, if you weren't keeping the festivals and you were calling yourself a Jew, you were put to death. Like today, we've so shifted. We are no longer a Jewish culture, right? This Bible we read was Jewish. We're very much Roman in the way we read it and the way we interact with each other. We are not Christians, especially at least Christ followers in mind and heart. We've totally shifted. And so he continues, "Everyone who defiles it must surely be put to death. Indeed, anyone who does not work on it, then that life will be cut off from among his people." I want you to notice this. This phrase "cut off" over and over again. What this means is not a literal cutting off, ripping out. What this means is you are cut off from community. When you decide to break a relationship up, when you decide to essentially take something that's not yours, rape someone, hoard power over another person, when you decide to do this, you are cut off from community. And so it would be better for you to just leave community. That's what Jesus is saying. And for a Jewish person, that's where their identity is found. And so they're going to obviously say, no, I'm not going to do the thing. I'm not even going to let the thing enter my mind anymore. I'm going to put a stop to it, right? And by doing this, again, Jesus, again, easily could have said, don't rape someone. Would have been way better for us today. Don't assume a woman's value comes from who she, her being a virgin or not, her giving this many children and this many sons. No. He could have said that, but he didn't, right? And we accept that that's where the ethic was moving. But what we can understand here is Jesus is essentially saying, look, we don't take what's not ours. That property, that woman is not yours. They have this relationship, the sanctified marriage, whatever it is, however you want to call it, that's theirs. It is not yours. Don't let that thing start in your mind and in your heart. Don't let it grow until you go and forcibly take something that's not yours. That's the deeper message here. Don't let the thing grow until you act and you hurt community. Because if you do, it would have been better for you to not even be in community in the first place. Heavy, right? So heavy. And so again, in the words of Jesus, respect the unity of two families coming together. Respect community. Respect that these people in their lives, that's theirs, not yours, right? That cultural context makes sense. It's about respect. It's about learning to not let the thing grow, the temptation to take something that's not yours. That's the deeper message Jesus was sharing here. And again, I've probably caused your mind to go a billion directions. And if so, yay! That's the point. I hope that this cultural context has shifted some of this understanding for you. So much identity, how we view each other, the hierarchy, the patriarchal system, all of it plays a part into just that one command. And Jesus essentially is opening up the door for us to begin to shift that ethic and the way we view each other. And it is beautiful. And I'm so thankful for it. So if you've enjoyed this, we're going to continue moving through these. And I think you're going to enjoy the next couple as well. I hope you liked it. And if you didn't or did, please email me and let's keep the conversation going. I would love to hear from you. Those conversations we sometimes have at our Ethos online gatherings. Either way, let's continue the conversation. And as always, please consider giving to www.ethos-church donate. Make sure you add the org in there. And I just talked about Ethos Living Rooms. Please consider joining us there, the 1st and the 3rd. And subscribe to the YouTube channel and continue sharing this as often as you can with people. We love you, everyone. Take care. And again, let's learn to be in community, respecting one another, learning to love one another, seeking shalom everywhere we go. Take care, everyone. I love you. Bye.